What's up, everybody? Sorry, we're back with another match reaction. I'm joined by Kyle from Nothing But Reds and Mr. Paddy Murphy. Kyle, I'll come to you first, mate. Look, is it fair to say we were lucky to come out of that with a point?
I'd say so. Based on the second half and based on how Brighton played after Keita went off, yeah, I'd say we're lucky, but I still don't think we should have blown a 2-0 lead. And to be fair, if it wasn't for Alisson, Brighton could have very easily won that game.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Paddy. And we were the ones hanging on there at the end of that game, mate. As Kyle said, if it wasn't for Alisson, a couple of close offside decisions, Brighton could have deservingly left there with 3 points.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Like, I said yesterday on the show that I was, expecting a tough game with Brighton, but yeah, Alisson Becker saves the day. Really, we could have easily lost that game, and it's just bitterly disappointing to drop points after being 2-0 up at Anfield. Like, to drop the 2-goal lead at Anfield is a really tough one to take. Like, and we just didn't, especially in that second half, we just didn't have any cohesion in the final third whatsoever. It was just dire.
For me, Kyle, this has been coming. It's not the first, it's not the second, it's the third time I can think of this season where we've let a 2-goal lead slip. We've clawed the other ones back and gotten away with it. But as you rightly said, mate, we went 2-0 up, Brighton came back into it, but they were the ones that looked like they were going to win the game. And I want to pick through the bones of why they were able to do it. For me, the fullbacks again, mate, we're turning over position too high up the pitch, and teams know if they can win the ball back quickly, particularly a team that presses as well and as aggressively as Brighton do, and are capable of playing around our press, the spaces are there.
Oh yeah, they exposed the channels today, I feel like, and early on there was a lot of space Brighton was letting in the midfield. Like, there was a lot of open space, and that's how we got the first goal with Salah's cutback to Hendo, and then Mane's goal was just Ox pushing forward because he had space, but they were exposing the channels. Konate was caught out a few times, like he was pulled way out of position out wide. They just got a pass inside, cut inside, and then they were able to just break down our line. It's frustrating because Klopp clearly wanted to rotate, and Konate and that Van Dijk partnership has been doing well so far. And today it just seemed like maybe Klopp got it wrong. Maybe I wouldn't say Konate was bad because he played somewhat good, but there were two instances in the second half where he was just flat out beat. He misread the pass, through ball went right by him, and if it wasn't for like an offside decision or two, Konate probably would have been getting a lot of hate after the game.
What do you reckon, Paddy? Were we maybe lulled into, I won't say false sense of security, but was Klopp a little bit overinflated, mate, with that result against Manchester United and Konate's performance that day? Do you think that was the wrong team selection?
I was surprised to see Konate come in again. It's like to see Matip discarded. Like, Matip has had a great start to the season, arguably been better than Virgil van Dijk. So to suddenly just drop him 2 games in a row is, listen, the Man United one went well, but I feel like you could have played me and you at the centre backs there, and we still would have won convincingly at Old Trafford.
Of course we would, mate. We're fucking mint.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's a weird one to drop Matip because, like, I know Konate, 34 million new sign and a shiny new toy, but like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, it's easy to say that now. If we had a won, we would have been all probably waxing lyrical about Konate, but maybe I just feel got a bit complacent 2-0 up and just thought you owned the place. Like, even from Brighton, you could have went 1-0 up. They just looked dangerous, and yeah, it's just really tough. It's really tough. But yeah, again, it's just a strange one to see Matip dropped, essentially. Like,
yeah. Just before we push on, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors of all our matchday content today, the OneFootball app. Look, I don't need to sell this to anybody. You guys know how good the app is. You can get it entirely free from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. There is a link in the description. It's the best football app out there, bar none. You get your fixtures, your video content, augmented reality features, statistics, everything you need for the season ahead. Kyle, as Paddy said, we got a warning early doors, mate. I think it was it March that was clean through and forced Alisson into a good early save.
Trossard was exceptional.
Yeah, it was one of the two. I thought Trossard was the man of the match, by the way.
Yeah.
Again, forcing Alisson into a save, and that was the warning sign early doors to say that Brighton are here to play. They don't change their style of football for anybody. But I can't help but feel, mate, when you got 2-0 up like that, and, it was beautiful. The goals we scored, it was vintage. That Hendo goal, magnificent.
Like, we were playing well, and you're sitting there, you're like, wow, the 2 goals go in. You're like, this is just great. It's, we're just going to win another 5-0 again. Keita gets injured. I really think that changed the mentality of the game. I really do, because, everyone saw the stat earlier this week. When Keita's on the pitch, 17 goals. We haven't conceded any, right? I didn't follow up on that, to be fair, but I saw it. So I'm going into this game like, Keita's starting. I'm confident. He was playing well, goes off injured. Everyone's heartbroken. I'm stressed out. Ox comes on. I'm like, all right, Ox, it's your chance to shine. Puts in a good cross, great assist for the second goal, right? I'm like, okay, all right, Ox, and then does nothing the rest of the game. And I think the problem was our midfield. Someone said it in the chat, without Fabinho and Thiago, even though Hendo was in there, without that solid pivot guy, right? Our fullbacks push forward and then we're exposing the midfield on the counterattack. And I feel like that showed today. I really don't feel like our midfield was good enough today. And then Klopp, the late subs, I very rarely criticize Klopp, but I think Klopp may have gotten it wrong today. I said that before, but I think that's my opinion on the game. Again, Keita going off changed everything.
I won't lie, Kyle. The late subs is definitely something that annoys me a lot about Jurgen Klopp. I like that he likes the lads to figure it out on the pitch and all, but sometimes it clearly isn't working. And do you know what got me today, Paddy, was, as Kyle said, it wasn't working in midfield. Oxlade-Chamberlain came on. Immediate impact then was a bit invisible. Curtis Jones didn't have a great game in midfield whatsoever. But you look to the bench and you look at their manager. He makes full complement of changes and they impact the game. They impact the game in a positive way. I was shocked he brought Basuma off, but he did. Lamptey came on and impacted the game, gave them an impetus going forward. We look to the bench for inspiration, mate. And yes, we have Diogo Jota there, but one, I don't think he got enough time. And two, that was pretty much it. Because Minamino did nothing.
Yeah, we're going initially to what you're saying. I thought Jones was very poor. Ox, bar the assist, was very poor. Like a midfield three with Ox and Jones in it. God, I hope I don't see that again too many times. But I think Jota, I was calling for Jota at half time. I thought Firmino's final product was shambolic today. He misplaced multiple passes and just simple things where it was kind of bemusing, to be honest. Like, wow, I thought Jota as early as half time could have been the play, but certainly by the 60. He didn't bring Jota on till the 72nd or 73rd. But you're right, we don't have much else on the bench right now. We have young Tyler Morton on the bench. That kind of shows you how thin we are. But still, I think Jota a lot earlier would have made a bigger difference. But yeah, I was really disappointed with Firmino today as a special shout out.
Today, Kyle, these are the type of games to me where seasons can be defined. So we had a situation today where at one point Chelsea were drawing at home, Manchester City were down to 10 men, and we were up and we were thinking a chance here to really establish yourselves, pull away from City a bit. But we ended the day with a draw. City did get beat, and Chelsea won 3-0, I think, in the end at home. So, these are the type of situations, mate, where, we might say we're still only 3 points away from Chelsea, but could have, should have been better, should have been closer.
Yeah, every opportunity that Chelsea gets and executes to pull away, it's just one missed opportunity for us. The gap is at 3 points now. It was at 1 point last week. If gotta get it together. It's just frustrating because the draws with Brentford, Chelsea, and then now Brighton, you would think that the draws wouldn't come in those games. But I got to give credit to Brighton too, because I think Brighton played exceptionally well. And I'm always going to give credit to the other team, especially in the second half, man. Brighton came out firing. They were just linking up perfectly, pretty much how we were linking up in the first 20 minutes. They just played really well. At the beginning of the game, Cucurella on that left back spot. Salah was just exposing them. Trent was linking up with them. They were just destroying them on that side. And then once Keita goes off, the momentum shifts a little bit. And then it was just off to the races. Him linking up with Trossard. And then you're right, Brighton made, someone said it in the chat, Brighton made the great subs, tactical changes. God, it just pisses me off, man, because it's Brighton. It's at Anfield. These are the games where you need to execute 3 points. You should be executing them. You should be getting the 3 points. And it's just frustrating.
I'm all for having a small, tight group, Paddy. I'm all for Klopp having players that he wants to actually have an impact on his team. But again, I can't help but think back to the summer, mate, and the Gini Wijnaldum departure from the team and us not replacing them yet again, where another situation like last year, we thought, we've got enough centre backs to cope with everything. Yeah. I won't lie, I went through midfield and I counted 7 or 8 midfielders that we had in the summer. And now, mate, already we're down to the bare bones. And we have a Champions League game coming up again against Atleti on Wednesday.
Yeah, ironically, Craig, the game today was drawn in midfield, and a key man for Brighton, Basuma, should have been out there in a Liverpool shirt today. It's just those fine little margins. We should have went down and replaced Wijnaldum, and Basuma would have been literally as clear cut as they come. It just, the midfield really let us down today. even Salah today had a poor game by his standards. I don't think anyone in the Liverpool team could have had a glory today, maybe bar Alisson. But yeah, the midfield again, like I bare bones in midfield. Naby Keita looks like an actual injury this time, hamstring injury. The poor man just can't catch a break. He's made of paper mache, and it's just really sad to see because he is such a good footballer, and this was his best season in the Liverpool shirt, but as of now.
Here's a good comment from Elijah John 5. So, lads, get this into perspective. This is the Brighton team that lost at home to City 4-1 recently. Terrible 2 points dropped. I mean, look, I do agree with Kyle fully that Brighton were very good today. And it is right that we praise them for the way that they came and played because, you know, they were a good team. But also, what Elijah John has said is kind of right, Kyle. These are the games, with all due respect to Brighton, we should be winning at home.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. We should be winning at home. I'm also not a big fan of comparing results just because things change game to game so often, tactics and locations and everything. However, he's right. It does put it into perspective. If you're losing 4-1 to City, massive, massive points dropped. But again, you look, our midfield is bare bones. Our midfield is probably the most important part of this Klopp system. And when you have Ox out there with Jones, unfortunately, man, Jones didn't play well today. Usually he does. But it's just Hendo, Jones, and Ox. It's like, what is that? It's not good enough. It's not good enough. We're missing Thiago, man.
I was saying in my post-match show that I did just before this that the thing that got to me today, gents, was the amount of times we got into their final third and either Firmino, Robbo, Trent, Canada even just gave away slack passes, 10-yard passes where we had men in wide areas, just rolled them in and we overhit it, underhit it. And one of them, the thing that really annoyed me, Paddy, was there was one situation there where Andy Robertson was bullied by Tariq Lamptey. And it was the one where Trossard's goal was ruled out for offside. That could have easily been game, set and match to Brighton. And again, would have been all of our own making.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what I was watching in that second half. Nobody on the team looked like they could take a touch, take a ball in and play a pass. Mane was playing like he had a pair of Timberland boots on in that second half. His touch, every first touch was ballooning off. I was like, what the fuck am I watching here? It was dire. It really was dire. And yeah, like, listen, Brighton did play well. Don't get me wrong. Of course, yada yada. They've had a good season, etc., etc. But make no mistake, it's a terrible 2 points drop, as Elijah John said. You know, it's a terrible 2 points drop, and like, I'm not overreact or whatever, but like, we're 3 points behind Chelsea already. Like, that 3 points isn't magically going to be overturned. Like, Chelsea aren't going to lose many games. Chelsea are going to drop many more points. These drawed games, as I've said for years, are going to come back to bite us, a bit like the season when we lost it to 1 point by City.
Particularly that Chelsea draw, Paddy, because that could have been a swing in points.
The Chelsea draw, exactly. The Chelsea draw, particularly, like, there's no qualms about it now. When we go to Stamford Bridge, it's a must-win game. I don't know when it is, but Chelsea have a reasonably decent run now until January. They've played pretty much all the big boys. So, you know, these 2 points today are going to be a horrible.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Craig, you should pin that. Like, this guy must have just joined.
Well, we've given Brighton lots of credit, Graham, to be fair, mate. You know, I'll be the first one to step up here and say that they were fantastic. Kyle as well, Paddy. And look, let's look at their goals, gents. The first one, what do we think of Kyle? Did he mean it? I like to think he did.
I'd like to think he did, just for pure beauty of it. I mean, it was inch perfect. Anywhere else, I think it would have either hit the post or Alisson would get a hand to it. Yeah. But I also like to think Alisson, the sun was in his eyes. So that's what I'm going to say. I think Alisson didn't see it coming.
Sometimes, Paddy, you know, we can overanalyze things a little bit too much. I just like to say, well done. Do you know what I mean? The man hit a great strike, and I
think he meant it.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable strike. Like, you just have to tip your hat and say, well done. You know.
Yeah, Mwepu. I think he's in that team that Salzburg, whether we played them in the Champions League, right? Another good crop of the Salzburg bunch. Yeah, it was a fantastic finish. But again, was it avoidable? I don't know. Could Alisson have done better? I don't think so. The sun actually was in his eyes, you could say. So I don't know. Alisson kept us in that game a lot. But, you know, let's give him the credit he deserves. I think he did mean it, because if that was a cross, that was very poor.
Yeah, if it was a cross, it was awful. But yeah, second goal then, second half, again, Trossard, good play, turns us inside out, beats Alisson at the near post. Again, nothing the keeper can do about it, Kyle, but entirely preventable in the build-up. Whereas Brighton were blocking crosses, getting their bodies on the line. I think we weren't putting our bodies on the line and stopping enough crosses.
Yes, no, correct. I believe the buildup was preventable. Konate was kind of jogging back. I didn't really watch Trent too much throughout that play, but Konate was exposed. Van Dijk was in a, between a rock and a hard place between, guarding the pass and then the runner. And then Trossard just clinical, composed, just holds on to the ball, finishes near post. I thought that was a better finish. Respectable goal. It's just all around, all the goals were good. It's just
Adam Lallana was very fired up as well. He assisted that goal. Adam Lallana was at it today, I thought.
Standing ovation too.
Yeah, nice to see that. Even the way the game was poised, nice to see Lallana's great service to the club reflected by the standing ovation. He even got a little high five off Klopp, I think, when he was coming off the pitch as well. I suppose the next thing to look at, gents, is where do we go midweek? Where do we go next week against West Ham? Because two important games in our season. If we win on Wednesday, Paddy, that sews up the group for us. We can play the kids for the last two group games. Although we were talking about the 2.5 million for each group stage win, Paddy, I don't know if we will see the kids.
No, I wouldn't. Listen, the West Ham game is firmly more important for me than the Atletico one. I think, we can afford to draw that Atletico game or something like that. I know it'd be nice to win and wrap it up, but I'd rest a couple of players for Atletico game. I wouldn't necessarily like to see full strength. You start with the midfield. Who the fuck plays in midfield? Like, is the problem? Like, we're really at the bare bones. Like, and it's really saddening. I thought, let's
say Thiago's fit, lads. Let's say Thiago makes it, gets more. Would you play him or would you keep him for West Ham?
I'd keep him. Same. It's a very physical game. Ask him to get injured again. Wrap him up in cotton wool. Keep him for West Ham. I would. Maybe give Oxen Jones the run out. The start against Atletico. Who else can we fucking play? And Henderson. It's just we're down to the bare bones. I tell you, there's no man we miss more, I don't think, than Fabinho Henrique Tavares. We miss him ever so much.
I'm with Patty 100%. Everything.
Huge game, Kyle, against West Ham next weekend. A huge game. A game that now becomes even more important after the points dropped today. And nothing but 3 points is going to do, and it's not going to be an easy afternoon.
No, especially in the midfield, because you got Declan Rice and Thomas Souček, some very physical players, very good midfielders, probably the most underrated midfield duo in the league, in my opinion. We need a solid midfield, and I agree. I think we can afford a draw against Atleti because we have 9 points, right? 3 wins.
Yeah.
So we can definitely. I think we can afford it. West Ham's important. We need 3 points. Can't afford a draw. And for example, let's flip it around. Let's say we go strong. We get 3 points against Atleti, but we draw against West Ham. That's way worse, in my opinion, than if we drew against Atleti and then win against West Ham. I would much rather have the latter. Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree. I don't think anybody can really disagree with that one. I just a quick word on Naby Keita, lads, because, I said it in my watch along and I'll say it again. Not one person I know of will speak about the man's ability in a negative way. Nobody. Everybody, to a man, woman and child, will say he's an outstanding footballer. But Paddy, at what point, mate, do we have to make the tough calls? What point does Klopp have to look at the track record, the lack of availability? Not down to the lad's fault. There's nobody wants to be injured, but is his price tag buying a little bit more time?
It's really tough because, he's been so good this season and we know how good he can be, and it's just so unfortunate. Like, I reckon if he doesn't go off injured, we win that game. I think he's that much of a difference maker. But you're right. At what point did the club say, listen, we can't trust you anymore and we have to get rid of you? What would you get from 5p based on his injury record? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's a quality player, but we can't keep hanging our hat on him. He's just an injury waiting to happen. This is probably his best run in the Liverpool shirt. But like,
yes, it probably is.
And that's what, like 6-7 games. So I really I keep just hoping for somehow he just doesn't get injured ever again, but I just don't think it's feasible or likely. So
I'm with you, man. Every goodwill in the world towards the lad because I love him. I love a lot about him. And look, Carl, I'll be honest, if I have to make a tough decision in the summer, I'm moving Chamberlain on ahead of Keita. I just think that he's definitely ran his race. I think he's got an even more consistent injury record going back to before he came to the club. So if we had to make one tough, ruthless decision, because I'm sure he's an absolutely top lad to have in and around the club, but we can't put ourselves in this position every season.
No, I agree with you. I'd move on Ox. I mean, nothing against Ox. It's just business, I mean, I'd rather keep Keita and, I mean, just Keita just produces better. But one thing I do want to say about Keita, Patty, I understand we're all in the same boat, dude. It's like the thing about injuries is that it's not directly their fault.
Yeah.
But it's so frustrating when a player is injury prone because you have no one to blame, unless it's like a direct tackle or something like that. But there's so people are just, where do we throw the blame? Where do we get frustrated with? And it's like, the ability's there. It's not like when he plays, he's not good, plus the injuries. It's just the man can't stay healthy. And it's the most frustrating thing as a fan when you have a player that might arguably this season proven his worth for the price tag, and he just keeps getting these nicks, man. And it's like he's carried off in a stretcher and he's fine. But then he goes down today and he's just grabbing his hamstring and you're like, oh no, he might be out for like 4 to 6 weeks now. It's just crazy, man. And I feel so bad for the guy because we all love him. You can see that Keita wants to play. He wants to put in the effort, and he's producing so far. I mean, more than really any other midfielder, except for maybe a Hendo. I mean, him and Hendo both have like 2 goals, I think, in all comps. So, God, it's just frustrating.
Klopp looked bitterly disappointed, didn't he, when he was in?
Yes. He had that smirk.
He was like, fucking hell. Like, what does this man have to do to stay fit? Because he's been one of our better players this year. But listen.
And the club seem to have done everything. They seem to have worked on his core. They seem to have looked at his diet. They seem to have really looked at every possible opportunity. And it's just frustrating, which is why I'm adamant more than ever that the tough decisions have to be made now. No room for sentiment. Because if we're going to go with a compacted squad, if we're going to go with a tight group of players, there's got to be a reliable, robust group of players. Or there's just no point. There's no point. It just doesn't work because we're coming into a situation now where in January, all things going to plan, the AFCON's on. We're losing Mane. We're losing Keita if he's fit. We're losing Mohamed Salah. And then we're looking at the midfield injuries that we have. And then we're looking, and we all want young players to come through, but at the same time, is it right to drop them into such a cauldron, to such a difficult... At some point, somebody in that club is going to have to stand up and say, we need a bigger squad. We just do. Yep. And all the goodwill in the world, all the arguments against spending money and attracting players, these answer all the questions, Kyle. When you've got days like today, when you're looking at the bench and Brighton's manager is confident enough in his bench to bring on 3 players and Jurgen Klopp made one unenforced change.
It's a problem. All of us want to think that injuries aren't going to happen. And part of me thinks that because the wage bill is so high, maybe we don't want to bring in a player who's just going to warm the bench, even if they are a quality backup and they give us depth. Part of me thinks that's the reason. But the other part of me thinks that it's and I said this, after the Man United match, like bringing in a player alters the chemistry, so it has to be the right player. And one thing I believe is FSG and Michael Edwards and Klopp, they're probably all looking at deals. Where can we snag a deal? Where can we get this midfielder on a free? And I think Kessie, if I'm not mistaken, might be one of those guys that's coming out on a free. I don't think he signed an extension.
No, he still hasn't signed. You're right.
Yeah, and there's plenty of players out there like that. Players that, if you're not signing them for big bucks and you're signing them on a free, they have no leverage to argue I should be playing every week. You have all the leverage saying you're going to be a squad player. We want you to come, your depth, you're going to play, but you're just not going to play every single game. And I think that's the approach we need to take now. We've always taken that approach. Where can we sign, cheap players or get a deal? But I think at this point, this is the 2nd season in a row where it's just like, maybe even the 3rd season where it's just like, damn, we got a problem. We got an injury problem and we need to fix it.
To back up what Kyle said there, Paddy, I mean, if you're a player usually coming into Liverpool, we talk about positions, full-backs, forward, you look at it and you'll be daunted by it. But if you're a midfielder, you're probably looking at our midfield situation and go, if I back myself in there, that's probably the one part of Liverpool where you may be able to nail down a place. Yeah.
And it's funny because at the start of the season, it looked like midfield was our best place for depth. And we've just been ravaged. We need to sign in the summer, or not in the summer, in January, we need to sign 2 midfielders. I don't care if they're starters or not. We need to sign cover. We need to sign something because Oxlade-Chamberlain and Curtis Jones starting for the midfield in Liverpool is nowhere near good enough. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Curtis Jones. He has great potential, but Oxlade-Chamberlain still persisting with someone like him. It's embarrassing, really, for a club of our stature and size.
Here's a question, Kyle. Do you think the physios are maybe not to blame, but culpable a little bit because since Alana was at Brighton, he's been playing week in and week out. Now, on this, I think that today was the first time he's put together a run of 9 games. I think that was his 9th in a row starting for Brighton.
And you're talking about Lallana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I work in the field, the physio field. You can't blame the physio for the players' injuries, right? There's injury prevention programs, there's exercises you can do and all that stuff. But no, I don't think it's the physios. I think the big thing was that towards the end of Lallana's tenure with us, because remember, was it 16, 17 season, he was our best player. He's arguably our best player. And then slowly, as his contract ran out, he played less and less and less. He was kind of like Ox is right now. It's pretty much what he was towards the end of his tenure. So I think it was more so of him getting in the game, not being used to playing week in, week out. So it's more of an endurance thing. His body didn't really know how to handle it, and he was getting injured that way. That's my opinion, though. But who knows, man? There's a lot of – I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about the physio staff, what they're doing, their protocols. It could be that. I just don't think it is.
Yeah, I just don't. I agree with Kyle. I mean, if you look at the nutritionists, the cooks who travel to games and stuff, Liverpool don't leave any stones unturned with the way they go about things. It's a hot Mona who does all the food and stuff at the club. They leave no stone unturned, Paddy. So yeah, I don't want to point the finger of blame. I just think it's we just happen to have some players, mate, that are culpable, and Thiago's in that as well. To be fair, I mean, he gets a bit more grace because he's only been here a lesser amount of time than the other guys. But yeah, we need to sort it out, mate. We're gonna keep banging our heads against the wall like this every week.
Yeah, I think just Thiago, Keita, they just are injury prone. You could have me or the best physio in the world as the physio. It wouldn't matter. Like they just
This lad seems to be a right arsehole, by the way. I mean.
Yeah,
we will, Graham. We'll spend it, mate, and we will win stuff. But fuck off, honestly.
Absolutely.
Here's another super chat. So my boy is 6 and has autism. Watched this game all the way through. Brought a tear to my eye. Do you think Robbo needs to rest? Nice one, dude. So happy your young lad sat through and watched the game, man. That's beautiful. Lots of love, mate. And tell him we all said hi. That's class. And
absolutely
great to have him enjoying the footy, my man. Lads, look, I don't really think there's much else we can say on this one because I don't want to look for scapegoats. I don't want to get angry, but I do want things to change, Kyle. So what do we do? We're both agreed. We're all agreed that we prioritise the West Ham game. But right now, with who we have available, quick go at the starting prediction for that game or starting lineup for that game.
I think you would probably be safe to go with Matip and Gomez, or maybe Matip and Konate midweek, because Matip's been out for 2 days or 2 games, I should say. And then you could also play Matip against West Ham. Matip and Van Dijk need to be back for West Ham, I think. That's who you start against West Ham. Atleti in the midfield. I'd probably go, honestly, Craig, I'd go Hendo, Milner, Jones, Hendo, Milner, Ox. I mean, who cares? Rotate him. Oh, wait, no, he's injured. You're right. My mistake. Yeah, so Hendo, Jones, Ox. I mean, why not? Try to build the chemistry when you can. If you have an opportunity, right? Because those guys aren't necessarily great together, but if you have an opportunity to play them together, why not? Then you get to rest. The thing is, who would start against West Ham?
That's the problem, and this is why I brought Phillips' comment. Do I regret not signing? Yes, 100%. But look, I don't think any of us said we shouldn't have. I know certainly Paddy agrees that we definitely should have replaced Gini Wijnaldum, and I mean, I have a feeling we're going to see Tyler Morton, Paddy, on Wednesday. I won't lie.
Wouldn't surprise me. Jesus, who the fuck's left? You know what I mean? We're that bare bones. And yeah, I wouldn't risk Thiago for a game like this. I don't even be ready, and Fabinho probably won't be ready. So it's not a must win. So it is what it is. Hopefully we can scuff a draw, and then we still should be all right in terms of the group. Look, it's Zachary, by the way, who says, "Do you think Robbo needs a rest?" Yes, I would love to see Kostas Tsimikas blooded in a little bit more.
Yes,
definitely a great opportunity on Wednesday to give him a run. 100%. Yeah, it's a good shout. That. Look, I want to say thank you to Kyle from Nothing But Reds. Kyle, what have you got coming up? I know you do a show every Sunday, so want to give that a little plug.
Yep, live every Sunday, 9 a.m. Over on the East Coast. That'll be 2 p.m. for you guys in the UK. Live talk show, hour long. Just come chat with us, hang out, and of course we got the live goal reactions coming up shortly after this show over on Nothing But Reds. And Craig, Patty, always a pleasure coming on chat. And I just wish it was under better circumstances, boys.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Next
Kyle.
time,
And
next time,
again, do
hopefully.
check out the guys. Nothing but Reds. Give them a subscription. Drop a like on the videos. Watch out for the goal reactions as well. And Mr. Paddy Murphy, what have you got coming up, sir?
Yeah, well, I'm going back on Twitch now to do watch along for this United game. 0-0 after 70 minutes. So unless you're doing one, stay with Craig. But if whatever.
No, I'm not. I've got a player ratings video still to make,
Yeah.
and then a
Watch all
date with
Craig's
the
stuff.
UFC.
And then if you're really bored and want to laugh United, come over to Twitch. Mr.
Look, ladies and gents, it wasn't the result that we wanted. It could have been worse. It could have been better, but we live to fight another day. Massive thank you to you guys for tuning in. Thank you to One Football, our sponsors. And most importantly, thank you to Paddy and to Kyle from Nothing But Reds. We will talk to you guys soon. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Take care.